You are now watching The Meech.
Nope! We decided not to get Pokemon Legends Z-A, and here's why. I am joined by my good pal Reese today to discuss why we didn't get Pokemon Legends Z-A. We are Nintendo YouTubers after all. That is the one time you'll hear in a discussion video, we are Nintendo YouTubers, because you often hear, I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. But considering that Pokemon Legends Z-A is perhaps Nintendo's biggest game of the holiday season, and yes, whenever a Pokemon game's a holiday title, that is always just so disappointing. We were thinking about maybe getting the game, because it could be integral to being a Nintendo YouTuber reviewing the latest games. But ultimately, we just decided we're not getting the game. But Reese, I'm curious to know, what was the straw that broke the camel's back for you? Because for me, it was a variety of factors.
So, a couple years ago, when it was first announced, I did have, a little hope that, it was gonna improve because of the development time. It seemed like they were taking longer to develop this game than other recent titles. So, I was kind of hopeful that this would release in late 2025, and it would actually look competent. But then when we started to see the footage earlier this year, my hope for that was kind of dwindling, and I was kind of disappointed. So I kind of decided that I was going to stick to what I said a few years ago and kind of take a break from Pokemon for a while, because it really hasn't improved to the level where I think it should have at this point. So I'm just kind of disappointed by the results here, and I feel like Game Freak could do a lot better.
I've heard mixed things about the game. Currently it's sitting at a 4.4 on Metacritic. Some say it's getting review bombed. I just say people have the wrong opinion, because with Pokemon, any criticism's just the wrong opinion about the game. But personally, it was pretty much just 3 strikes you're out for me. Pokemon Sword and Shield, it was garbage. It's pretty much just a bad version of Pokemon Sun and Moon with a British theme. There were a lot of sacrifices like the national decks, and what did we get in return? Charizard and Curry! Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. How do you screw up Gen 4? How does that work? And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were just so broken, even beyond the technical aspect. No level scaling. The games look visually appalling, and it's just like with Pokemon Legends Z-A, at least from a visual standpoint, and I know that graphics aren't the most important thing in a game, but it's still more the same Pokemon Scarlet and Violet look, which is not a good thing, especially considering that Pokemon Legends Arceus, it didn't look the best, but at least it was stylized. And then I just looked at more of the gameplay and I realized, no, this ain't it. I played a little bit of it at PAX West. I did my first impressions video, so that's pretty much the content I want to do for this game. I pretty much did exactly what I wanted to accomplish with this game. I wanted to make a video with a ton of Z-A jokes in it, and you guys got just that. And you got a free preview fight between a Nintendo rep and me with a tripod, and the fight was, I just held back everything and didn't say anything. It was funny though. But yeah, it's just like, from what I'm seeing, despite some of the good things people are saying about the game, it definitely seems to be more of it's a step in the right direction. A baby step into what could be the Breath of the Wild, the Super Mario Odyssey, or the Donkey Kong Bonanza of the Pokemon series. And we should have given this disclaimer before, but it's important to bring up that we don't care how people spend their money as long as it's not hurting anyone. If you feel that the Pokemon games are worth buying and you're going to enjoy them, by all means, nothing against you there. It's your money, and ultimately, there are much greater things in the world to worry about than you spending your money on a Pokemon game.
Yeah, if you're enjoying this game, that's completely okay. But just for me personally, I just think this game just looks really underwhelming, honestly. I know graphics aren't everything, and there are some games with not the best graphics that I do enjoy, but Pokemon has kept kind of staying in the same place in terms of graphics for years now, and hasn't been improving. And I just think that's kind of disappointing. And it's not just the graphics, it's also just, like, kind of how the game looks kind of bland too. It just like the fact that everything kind of looks the same, everything looks pretty dull, I would say. It almost like kind of like the new Super Mario Bros. Of Pokemon, kind of. I mean, that might be a bit of a weird example there, but it just doesn't look that great. And you can't enter most of the buildings, which is kind of weird since this game is based on a city. So I think that would make much more sense if there were much more explorable locations.
I literally saw a video from the game where there's a worker in front of the cafe and you talk to him to get a drag down text menu and then you can order food. Like, what?
Yeah.
This is coming from the world's highest grossing media franchise? I know that's been said so many times. We're beating a dead horse. We're just unlucky. But come on. This is just ridiculous.
Yeah, and Lumio City is based on Paris, like a very nice looking city with like a lot of kind of like a lot of things going on, like a lot of parks, a lot of variety, like just so much going on. Like, where is that in Lumio City? Like, why don't we have all these cool locations like parks and landmarks? It just looks like just a bunch of the same streets and buildings kind of repeating. I know that might be a bit of an exaggeration, but I think they could have done better here. I think they could have made things a little more interesting since the entire game takes place within the city. They could have had some variety here. Maybe like, maybe they even have like some districts like slightly outside of the city. Maybe like some like little areas that you can go to still within the vicinity of the city though. I think they could have done a little more with that, honestly.
Yeah. That was one of my main concerns after playing the demo. Knowing that Lumio City would be the sole location, I didn't know what they would do to really make things varied. It doesn't seem like they did anything to make it varied. It just seems like when you're exploring the city, it's very repetitive, it gets dull quick, and really this isn't so much from a graphical standpoint for me, it's also from a gameplay standpoint. Because if everything's like pretty much the same, there's no sense of progression. I'll play devil's advocate for once, and say with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as broken as the game is, there is a sense of exploration when it comes to Paldea. Like, when you're exploring, you encounter different regions and stuff like that.
I wanted to go off of the game just taking place in a city thing, because there actually are better examples of games that do take place within a city, like Cyberpunk 2077, that's mostly within Night City, but that game has so much variety with locations. You can go into like a lot of, well, I mean, you can't go to every building, but there are like a lot of buildings that you can kind of go around and explore, and it's just very vibrant, and there's so much to do. So I think, like, if Legends Z-A was a little more like that and had like a lot of variety with like different things you could do, I think it would have been much better.
Yeah, I think so too. I would say that even New Donk City probably had more to explore.
Yeah.
But in terms of us being Nintendo YouTubers, usually what we'll do is we'll get most things that Nintendo releases and make videos about them. That's part of being a Nintendo YouTuber, and I will bring this up because I see these comments very often, not just on my channel, but I see them on other Nintendo YouTubers' channels. There's been a lot of backlash for the Nintendo Switch 2, rightfully so. I think Nintendo is doing a lot of things wrong, and they've definitely gotten greedier than ever. But those frustrations are also being taken out on Nintendo YouTubers, like, you're part of the problem if you bought it, and you bought the game anyway, so your review is invalid. But I feel it's way more nuanced than that. If you're a Nintendo YouTuber, and you buy a game, thinking you're gonna review it, I mean, it's part of your job. Nobody goes after Gordon Ramsay for reviewing food. Oh, well, he's the reason food's bad in the first place. He ate it anyway. Or Gene Shalit reviewing a movie. Well, he watched it anyway. So his review's invalid. It doesn't make sense. Like, when you really think about it, it just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, and I think just one thing about this is that, like, I think there's a certain point where we shouldn't have to buy games that we genuinely don't want to play. Like, if we're not going to get any enjoyment out of it, or if we're not going to have any interesting things to say about it, then I don't really think there's a point, honestly. I think it's just best to just not even play or not even bother with the games that we're not really interested in. There's I think a more interesting discussion would be out of the game that is somewhat controversial, that we do have a lot of input for, like Mario Kart World. I really enjoyed the game, even though I had a lot of problems with the price. I think that's a pretty good discussion there, since we had some enjoyment with it, but there were still problems. I think that makes for a much more nuanced review and discussion than something like Z-A that's it's kind of having a pretty boring time with this Pokemon game. Yeah, it's just it would basically be like a copy paste of the Pokemon reviews from the past few years with some alterations that kind of add your thoughts for any of the new additions. It's just it just wouldn't be as interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why I brought up reviewers getting games and, the comments oh, you bought it anyway, it's more nuanced than that. I will say this. If you're a reviewer, I think it's absolutely fine to get games that you might not be interested in or you're thinking are going to be bad. We personally didn't get Pokemon Legends Z-A because we just felt there's not really anything interesting to say about it. It's more modern Pokemon slop from what we can gather. And it's just it wouldn't make for a very interesting review. But I will say, it's nuanced in the sense that if you're a reviewer and you just are on the fence about the game and just get it to review it, it's part of your job. No problem there. If you feel it's worth it, no problem there. My problem is just when it comes to the casuals who think the games are going to be bad, who didn't like the other modern Pokemon games, yet they get them anyway. That's a bit different. If you're curious about it, there are other ways. You don't need to get it day one. You can just get the game secondhand. I understand the curiosity. But if you want Pokemon to change and you want the series to get better, the only thing you can really do is just not buy the games. I will say reviewers are exempt, but even so, I just didn't get it because I didn't want to play it. I had no interest in playing it.
Yeah.
I really felt the need to review Pokemon Scarlet because it was a disaster unlike anything Nintendo has ever put out before. But with this, it's just from what I'm seeing, it doesn't have the same technical issues. It just seems to be more the same. Yeah, it looks bad. Gameplay is a little messy. What's interesting about that?
Yeah, it's just not really worth covering unless you're actually interested in the game. Honestly, it's I think that's a pretty good point there.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you feel the same way, if you just don't like the direction that Pokemon's going, just don't buy the games. And if you are worried about the FOMO aspect, this is the first game, being a Nintendo YouTuber, the first major game that I didn't get at launch. And missing a major release, I was interested to see what was that actually like, because I saw a lot of my friends get the game. I saw pretty much every other YouTuber get the game. And it's just yes, there was a little bit oh, I'm not a part of this. I feel a little left out. But then I looked more at the game and yeah, I really missed out. The thing is, there's always going to be that sense of the feeling of missing out or the fear of missing out, but encountering that fear, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah, I actually surprisingly didn't really feel that here. I mean, sure, I did have some friends that did buy the game because they were interested. I do have a few Pokemon friends, but at the same time, I actually did see quite a few people also skip it as well, and I didn't really feel too big of the need to want to buy this and cover it this time, because I feel I was already pretty content on games that I've already been playing and covering. I can cover other things too. I actually recently just did a video about an older game Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland, and I'm having a lot of fun with Super Mario Galaxy 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, so many other games right now that I really honestly didn't feel the need to get this. At a certain point, sometimes you already have enough games to when another game comes out and looks kind of underwhelming, I don't really feel that FOMO too much, honestly.
And here's the thing. With Pokemon, I'm pretty checked out of the series. After Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it's just like, I was not even interested in going back to the classic games. But regardless, it's just like, there are so many other games released this year that I'd rather be playing. Donkey Kong Bonanza, absolute masterpiece. We got Kirby Air Riders coming up. That's another game I got to play at PAX West, and I'll be doing a full video going over my first impressions. But that's a really good game. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And don't forget about all the indie games and all the third-party games like Pac-Man World 2, Repack, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. It's just not worth getting hung up over Pokemon. And I wasn't even expecting this to be the game that saved the series anyway. It's just like, I'm perfectly content skipping it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's also, like, some other games, like, even RPGs, that I really enjoyed this year as well. Like, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, that was an excellent remaster of one of the most underrated Wii U games. But yeah, there's just so much this year. Fast Fusion, in terms of, like, another indie game. There's a lot this year, so I didn't really, like, need Pokemon Legends Z-A.
Yeah. And when you brought up Mario Kart World, that's an example of a game that's polarizing, but in a very interesting way. It has the best core gameplay in the Mario Kart series, but aspects such as pathways, and I would say the thing for me is just the low amount of tracks. It makes it a little bit polarizing, but it's very interesting in the ways that it does it, but this, not so much. But in terms of Pokemon, will we ever get Pokemon Legends Z-A in the future? Because I will just say this so I don't sound like a certain engineer. If I found Pokemon Legends Z-A on eBay or something for like 20 bucks, why not? If the price is right, I did that for a few other games that I was like, not interested in getting. I think that if the price was like really low, that'd be the only reason why I get it. And I know there's always a thing, oh, you just don't want to get this game because you're broke. Have you ever bought crack before? If you haven't, you're probably broke. No, we just don't want to buy things that aren't of high quality. We don't want to buy things we don't feel are worth the price.
Yeah. And I would say, like, in any condition where I would buy Pokemon Legends Z-A, if it was, like, on, like you said, like, on eBay, or, like, heavily discounted, like, sometime in the future, like, a couple years from now, like, I mean, I actually wouldn't really mind going in and dabbling in and playing the game. Like, I at some point, I do kind of want to try it out of curiosity. Maybe I'd even like it, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. It's just, in its current state, at $60 to $70, just doesn't really do it for me. But sometime in the future, like, maybe, I would say. So that's just kind of how I feel about, like, if I were to get the game, like, secondhand or discounted or something. That's really, like, the only, like, conditions where I would play this game, like, just some point in the future.
To get the complete experience for Pokemon Legends Z-A, this is what really pushed me not to get the game. If you get it for the Nintendo Switch 1, it's $60. $10 to upgrade the game just so it's in 4K and it plays properly in 2025. $10 for what should have been a free upgrade. It was free for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That is really the final straw for me. That's what pushed me not to get this game. Yeah. And it doesn't even add anything. Like the whole Nintendo Switch 2 edition thing, I made a whole video about it and how a lot of the Switch 2 editions are scams, but they did not even attempt here to make it anything of value.
Yeah, it's the exact problem that I have with the Zelda Switch 2 editions, since they don't really add any, like, interesting new additions. I mean, at the very least, that did have the Zelda notes, but which I guess still puts it above the Z-A Switch 2 edition, but it still, like, wasn't worth the $10. That really should have been free, because it was just as substantial as an upgrade as the free Mario Odyssey update was. And the free update for Mario Odyssey was incredible. Like, it looks really good on the Switch too. So I feel like really the only reason why they're charging more for this is just purely like greed. They could just get away with selling it for more on the Switch 2 with the upgrades. It really doesn't seem like there's any good reason for that.
You also need Nintendo Switch Online to get certain Mega Stones. That's another $20 at least. And the DLC that probably takes you out of Lumio City, that's $30. So to get the full Z-A experience, it's $120. That's insane.
And another thing, with DLC, I hate to like prop something up to kind of put something down. I don't really like to do that very often, but I feel like this comparison is just so perfect for this. But Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got DLC a few years ago. I think it was like a year after the game released, and it was $30, I believe, but it was basically an entirely new game. Like, I think it took about like 10 hours to complete, and there were completely new areas. You played as like a new protagonist with Matthew, and it was like essentially like a new game that used the mechanics of Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So it like that was $30, but I highly doubt that Z-A will have anything on that level, honestly, just due to what we've seen from the base game and just what we've seen from Pokemon DLC in the past. Like, I haven't played Scarlet and Violet's DLC, but I have played Sword and Shield's DLC, and that was really underwhelming, honestly, with Sword and Shield. That was one of my biggest regrets, other than getting Scarlet and Violet. So it's that, like, I've really been let down by Pokemon DLC in the past, and I can't really say that they haven't improved here because we don't really know about it yet. I don't think that's entirely fair to say, but at the same time, though, I'm pretty doubtful that it will be on the level of something like Xenoblade's DLC, which was really worth that $30.
Yeah, I'm doubtful about that too. We don't know really anything about it, but just considering the series' track record, it could be something that people say, oh, well, the game's way better now. Yeah, that's makes perfect sense right there. But the thing is, it's just like, what would it take for us to get back into the Pokemon series? For me, honestly, at this point, no more steps in the right direction, no more baby steps. They literally just have to do what they did with The Legend of Zelda, what they did with Mario, what they did with Donkey Kong. We got The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, and Donkey Kong Bonanza. All of those games took their respective series to new levels. They evolved them, and they're truly groundbreaking, especially Bonanza. Pun intended and not intended there. But with Pokemon, we're not getting that. We're just getting blueprints for what could be that. And I'm not getting a game to get a blueprint. I want to play a game.
Yeah, why should we settle for just okay? I feel like we've been settling for just okay over the, like, just the past few years. Like, over the Switch generation and now going into the Switch 2. We've just been settling for just okay with Pokemon.
I would consider Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Like, I feel like
Pokemon Sword and Shield, I'd consider to be pretty mediocre, like, best. And even at worst, it's just like, yeah, the games are mediocre, none of the sacrifices were worth it. But I would say that a game like Pokemon Scarlet, it's not just okay, it's downright bad.
Yeah, I feel like the thing is, like, okay kind of seems like the bar, basically. It's either okay, or just not good. Because I really feel like we deserve better than this. Pokemon fans deserve better than this, honestly. Like, why can't we have that big push for Pokemon? Why can't we have that big, groundbreaking game like you've been saying? This is the biggest media franchise in the world. How have we still not gotten that big, massive, heavy hitter yet? I know that kind of sounds like cliche. Oh, we're the heavy hitters for Nintendo. But, like for Pokemon, like, I really wish we got something. This is not just me saying, like, oh, I hate modern Pokemon. No, this is, like, out of someone who wants something better for Pokemon. I'm just kind of disappointed because I think these games can be better. I just want to see better from Game Freak and the Pokemon Company, honestly, because they are capable of doing better. It just seems like with games like Pokemon Legends Z-A, I feel they aren't really putting enough resources into it. Like, not enough time, even though they seem to have delayed it a year, pushed it back. That still doesn't seem like enough time, and it only had a $13 million budget.
That's pretty much a budget of a chip, a used napkin, and a penny.
It's pretty low in the grand scheme of things. Like, we're seeing games with, like, budgets, I would say, like, upwards of, like, 50 million now. Like, even some games are, like, over 100 million. I mean, I'm definitely not one who really supports, like, games with, like, the big, massive budgets that take, like, 10 years to develop. I think that's a little unsustainable, but I feel like Pokemon could do better if it had just a more reasonable budget, probably more comparable to, like, some of Nintendo's bigger games, I would say. Like, if it had the budget of, like, Donkey Kong Bonanza, which I think is perfectly reasonable because this is a very large franchise we're talking about, I think that would be much more fair, I would say. It would make a lot more sense.
And before wrapping things up, there are two things I'd like to bring up. People always bring up, oh, well, Pokemon, well, it's because of the cards, it's because of the anime. They have to tie everything together. Okay, the Mario series has merchandise too, yet they don't put out games that are slop. Well, at least most of the time, but even with bad Mario games, they're not slop usually. They're just not exactly the best in terms of, like, game design, like Paper Mario Sticker Star. But no, there's no excuse for Pokemon. They've had almost a decade to understand console game development, yet they're still doing the absolute bare minimum. They're not giving the games the proper budgets. I don't know if it's the same team. I don't know how Game Freak works in terms of, like, how they allocate developers to certain projects. You look at something like Beast of Reincarnation on the Xbox compared to this, and it's like night and day. Why does that look so much better than Pokemon? Like, it looks visually stunning. So they are capable of it. They just don't do it for Pokemon. And the thing is, there's another argument that's always brought up whenever people like you and I bring up why we're not interested in Pokemon and why we don't approve of the current direction of the series. Oh, you've just outgrown the series. It's a kid's game. It's just not for you anymore.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to say, I think kids deserve better, honestly.
They do.
Like, when I was a kid, I remember playing games like New Super Mario Bros. DS, Mario Kart Wii Sports, Super Mario 64 DS, and they were great games. Like, I had a lot of fond memories with them. And looking back, I had much more fond memories playing those games than the crappy shovelware Smurfs Dance Party-esque games that I played on the Wii back in the day. They really weren't very good. And I honestly have a lot more, like, frustrating memories trying to get through, like, weird sections of some of these shovelware games. So
yeah, exactly.
I really feel like kids deserve high quality products, honestly. Like, everyone does. I feel like everyone deserves, like, high quality products in terms of games. We should expect a level of quality for kind of like a certain game, I would say.
I would say that when it comes to that argument, I'm pretty sure that whenever someone uses the excuse, oh, it's a kid's game, or you've just outgrown the series, they don't even remember what it was like being a kid. You're trying to tell me you couldn't tell the difference between something like Mario Kart versus Eminem's kart racing when you were a kid? When I was a kid, I could definitely tell if a game was shovelware. And is this on the scale of shovelware? I mean, I can't say definitively because I haven't played the game. But it's just not to the quality that it should be. And that's why we didn't get the game. And if you feel the same way, just understand this. The fear of missing out, there's nothing to fear. We're perfectly fine. There are so many great games to play. You don't need to get Pokemon, and if you don't approve of the direction of the series, just don't buy it. But until then, it's just like, I feel like the only way that I could enjoy Pokemon Legends Z-A is on Zaza, filling my bellies with diet soda, and just playing the game.
No thanks. I have to go to work.
But yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to Reese, and keep calm and Zaza on.
Stay perky!